Hello.
Hi, is that Fito?
Hello.
Hi, is that Fito?
That's Fito, yes.
Hey,
Yes.
man, how are you? This is Levi calling from sticksforstones.net in Australia. How are you, man?
Good. What town in Australia?
From Brisbane.
Brisbane.
Yeah, up
You're
the
on the
top.
West Coast, right?
Yeah, not far from Byron Bay. You've been down to the Blues Fest there before, haven't you?
Yes. We just played the Byron Bay Blues Festival 3 years ago, right?
Yeah. It wasn't that long ago. Yeah, I remember that one. Anyway, I got a fair few questions to ask you. Are you ready to go now?
Yeah, I'm ready now.
Yeah, no worries. You've been playing music professionally, I think, since the 50s now, really, with your first band. So that's over 6 decades in music. Out of all those years, do you have a favourite time? Was there a favourite decade for you?
I guess my favorite decade will be, from the late 50s to the late 60s.
Yeah. Do you think
Was
music...
the advent of rock and roll in my life, in my generation.
Do you think rock and roll and blues music was more exciting then than it is now?
Well, there is music made in the 50s that is absolutely fantastic, especially in the rhythm and blues style. The rhythm and blues music that was made then is incomparable. Of course, we changed it a little bit, when we grabbed it and adopted as our music, Not only us, the Rolling Stones did the same thing, and many others. Hendrix, and all that. So, but it was all based on the music that we were listening when we were kids, and that was late 40s and early 50s, rhythm and blues.
Yeah, and
I still think that music is invaluable. This is one of the greatest musics ever made.
Oh, for sure. And you're even lucky enough to play Woodstock in '69. I've been to a few festivals that, like the Blues Fest, which is a lot of, blues and rock and whatnot music. How similar are the festivals now to Woodstock? Are they similar? I like to think they would be, but do you think that, they're anything alike?
Oh, no, absolutely not. They can try. They can try to make another Woodstock, but they'll never be able to repeat that because the Woodstock event was mainly a people's event. It was not even a financial success. It was something that happened. It just happened.
Yeah.
The people just made it happen alongside the bands. All the bands that were there, the movement that was just being created in the West Coast, in San Francisco and in Los Angeles, was starting to hit the East Coast too. And that's the reflection of that. Of course, the East Coast is more populated. New York is a huge city. So all the people in New York and the area went up the country to the Catskill Mountains to attend the Woodstock Festival. That's an experience that can never be repeated. They have tried to repeat it. We have played already 2 or 3 anniversaries of Woodstock. And actually the 10th anniversary was pretty good, very nice, but they were just big concerts. They didn't have the spirit. That will never be repeated.
Yeah, and you're kind of lucky because you've been in music for so long. You've been able to see genres of music, when they came out. What do you think when, past the 60s, music started to get a bit heavier and go in different directions? What do you think of punk rock and heavy metal when, bands like Black Sabbath and the Sex Pistols came out? Did you like those sort of bands?
Well, I really like the heavy metal bands and the speed metal bands. We have played several festivals that were only heavy metal bands with Canned Heat as a special invite. Yeah. Because amongst the heavy metal and speed metal culture, they see Canned Heat as one of the roots, one of the bands that influenced their playing.
Yeah, for sure.
This is a strange thing because they couldn't grab other bands, but they decided to grab us, right? So it's probably because of the influence of our guitar players. Our main guitar players, Henry Steen, the Sunflower, and Harvey Mandel. I mean, you can tell that Harvey and Henry are the fathers of the speed metal and heavy metal approach to guitar playing.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I like those bands. Some of them are magnificent. They are great. They are tight. They are powerful. You know, I've seen them live, and that's all I can say. We're part of the same brotherhood, even if we are not doing the same thing.
Yeah, when big genres of music came out, like for instance disco in the 70s, did you ever think of trying to incorporate that style into your music because it was popular, or did you just
the record companies and the management will always try to push us to do that and try to do projects that will have a little bit of disco beat and all this stupid shit that they used to make us do, and Ken Heat was always a hardcore blues band, and a country blues band with a touch of rock. That's basically what Ken Heat has always been. But in those times, after the explosion of the 60s and the advent of the disco craze, nobody wanted to hear blues music. Nobody wanted to hear live bands. Live bands were out of work. Most of us were out of work because of the disco craze and the beginning of the degeneration in music, you know, with the hard drugs and all that. And, of course, later on, thank God, the heavy metal thing came in, you know.
Yeah.
When you were saying about the punk rockers, you know, the punk rock is a different approach than the heavy metal approach, okay?
Yeah.
The punk rock was more like the anti-music.
Yeah.
In a way, they were saying, we are just going to play real hard and real powerful, and we are not going to try to be virtuosos like Jimi Hendrix or Eric Clapton or the Ken Heat guys. You know what I mean? It was a different approach. I'm not as into it with the punk rock thing as I am with the heavy metals and the speed metals, because those guys, I've seen them play and they impress me.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's definitely some great guitarists out there.
We play with them, and as I said, their audience comes to us, and I love to see all those kids dressed in black and shit. You know, it's like a new generation for us. You know.
Yeah,
they are old too now.
Yeah, it's definitely been around a while. You got to work with John Lee Hooker back in the days. What was he like to work with, personality-wise? Was he a nice guy?
Oh, he was wonderful. There is nobody. He was the purest expression of the blues.
Yeah.
John Lee Hooker made the rules and broke the rules of the blues as he pleased. And, of course, recording with him was a privilege. Yeah. We did a couple of records with him, and we did several tours. We toured together. He was one of the boys always, and behaved like that. And then towards the end, later on, I also had the privilege to play with his band, with his Coast to Coast blues band, the last 2 years of his life. Besides playing with Ken Heat, I was also John Lee Hooker's drummer the last 2 years of his life, and I got to play with him in his last performance, which was remarkable because, as always, he was thinking about leaving, about going away, and it was like it brought tears to my eyes, you know, to be playing with the man, knowing that he was very sick and knowing that he was going away, and then he's singing it actually at the time. Just like everything John Lee Hooker did. It was totally improvised and totally on the moment, which was the purest form of blues.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of these blues guys, they're getting really old now. I saw Buddy Guy play a few years ago, and he's still phenomenal, but he's getting on. B.B. King passed last year, James Brown a few years ago. Do you think this sort of music will last? Is there anyone that can take that position when they, pass the torch on, when they all pass away?
Unfortunately not. Those are very special artists that you are talking about, legends and pioneers of a style. And what we can hope to is that somebody will come up in the future and will recreate styles in that form. Because if we just fall into the pit of technological music without really human input and all that, and all these raves and rages and drug-induced whatever they go through, all this ecstasy on just one beat without melodies and things like that. I don't see much value there. I think some of the hip-hop and rappers do have a message and do have some musicality and to them. You have to recognize that. You cannot turn that down. But when you're talking about James Brown and B.B. King and people like that, that's going to be real hard to repeat. This is a one-time thing. That's it.
Yeah.
Beethoven was a one-time thing, and Mozart was a one-time thing, too. Okay, so these people are equal to that in a different era.
There's a lot of young guys, mostly white guys, bringing back the old blues style, but I think the thing is with people like, Robert Johnson and Lead Belly, they always had such a hard backstory. Do you think it's possible to be a blues musician and, not have a hard life and, come from poverty and whatnot and be like those guys? Is it possible to be authentic as those guys were, do you think?
Well, there was a time when the people used to say that white men could not play blues.
Yeah.
And, that is, of course, not true, because that was proven again and again by several white musicians. But as far as being necessarily very poor and ignorant and coming from slaves and all that, in order to play blues, that's not necessary. Of course, they created the style, and the style really comes, basically from Africa and from the advent of them playing some European instruments, like the harmonica and the guitar. But as far as the hard life, well, the blues is part. When you choose to play blues and be in the blues environment, you are going to live a hard life.
Yeah.
It is going to be hard, and no matter what. And that is true, even in the successful band.
Yeah, for sure. I got told to keep this interview fairly short, so I'll just ask you one more question. You're coming to Australia in October, so pretty soon. What can fans expect from the show? Are you going to be playing a lot of old stuff, or will be new stuff as well?
I understand most of the shows are sold out already, and that gives me great satisfaction.
Yeah.
Yes, and what you can expect is, well, of course, we're going to play some of the hit records that people always know and relate. So that's the way to get their attention, of course, and make them feel welcome, and that they want to hear what they know. Okay, that's one of the things. But we are not a jukebox. We are not just going to sit there and play our hit records and that's it. We're going to play some hit records, and then we're going to play some very early country blues, with a touch of rock, as we always do. We're going to play very early canned heat, and we're going to play some instrumentals and some new things that we've been experimenting with lately. A little bit of swing music, and, as I said, instrumentals and new stuff, just new stuff that we've been creating as time goes by with this new unit, which is really a wonderful unit. It's getting great reviews worldwide, and we're doing really good. Musically, you are going to be satisfied. You're going to like it.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to coming to the show. I'm going to be taking photos there, so I'll be up the front and get some great photos of you guys, and it should be an amazing show.
Okay, well, come say hello at least, so I can see your face.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get a pass, and it'll be awesome, man. We'll do it. Catch up, have a beer or something.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, I hope you enjoyed the tour, man. It's going to be great seeing you guys, and I hope you have fun the rest of your day with your interviews.
Okay. Did you say you were calling from Brisbane?
Yeah, from Brisbane.
Are we playing in Brisbane?
Yeah, I think you're playing in the Tivoli. So
oh, really? So we're going all the way there, huh? Okay, I didn't know that. I'm looking forward. I like Brisbane.
Yeah, it's going to be great, man.
That's going to be great.
Yeah, thanks so much
care.
for talking to me.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye.